My grandfather once told me of the age of Augustus, the emperor who found Rome a city of brick and left it one of marble. Guided by his virtue and prudence, Augustus's empire reached new bounds, a vast constellation of cities spanning the Mediterranean and beyond. Its prosperity and happiness were the envy of an otherwise bitter, cruel world. 7 decades, 10 emperors and countless civil wars later, that golden age is a distant memory. Marred by corruption, the constellation that once lit the world is now little more than a faint and fraudulent zodiac. Yet there are those among us who still believe in Rome. In my youth, I followed my father's and grandfather's footsteps into the legions. 20 years later, I am Marcus Ulpius Trajanus, commander of the 7th Legion and a veteran of Emperor Domitian's northern wars. The aristocrats of the Senate despise Domitian for his unwillingness to bend to their whims, but he treats his legions well. Now, he calls on us to quash the rebellion of one Saturninus, a provincial governor styling himself emperor. A lifelong military man, I know all too well that soldiers' blood is the currency of rich men's power plays. But when Rome calls, I must go. I will march north to see that this civil war ends before it has even begun. We Romans say that fortune favors the bold, but how does it decide between two valiant men? The question puzzled me as my men dragged Saturninus before our merciless emperor. I wonder what his last thoughts were. Did he regret not anticipating that my legions would reach the front in time? Did he curse fortune for the unprecedented January thaw that prevented his German allies from crossing the Rhine? It matters not. The answer died with him. But our emperor's anger endured. From the day of his coronation, Domitian had been a firm and bold ruler. But the Senate despised this friend of the legionary and the commoner. When Domitian's latent paranoia began to consume him, his wrath engulfed the empire like a raging wildfire. Countless arrests followed in the wake of the war. Senators who had opposed him were executed like common criminals. When the court could bear it no more, the emperor was assassinated. Domitian's successor was a good man, but a poor ruler. Nevertheless, he shared my loyalty to Rome and sought to reverse the damage that Domitian's folly had done. With no sons to pass the mantle to, Emperor Nerva named me as his heir before striding on into the afterlife after 2 short years on the throne. The immense honor of steering the might of Rome is matched only by the weight of its responsibility. I am a general, not a senator. My mind is built for the straightforwardness of the battlefield, not the intricacies of politics. I can, and I must, learn to be a politician. But in the meanwhile, I should play to my strengths. The divided Roman people need a common enemy, and I will give them that. North of the Danube lies Dacia, a barbarous kingdom, but one also rich in gold and silver. Its wily king Decabalus once played Domitian for a fool, negotiating an unfavorable treaty that tarnished Roman imperial repute. My loyal cousin Hadrian will join me on this campaign and learn from my example, I will unite the Roman people, take vengeance on a haughty foe, and enrich our struggling economy all in one fell swoop. Peace between Dacia and Rome was the story of one man's panic and another's bluff. As Dicabulus saw my legions thrust into his realm and capture his sister, he must have feared that the end was near. Yet my imperious tone and stern demands during the negotiations were a mere facade. With only a few legions on the front, I knew in my heart that I lacked the strength to overthrow Dicabulus today. But he did not. For now, the conman has been beaten at his own game. But I know better than to trust a cornered wolf. As we march home after a draining campaign, I have tasked my best architects with building a bridge across the Danube into Dacia. If Dicabulus shows even a hint of treachery, my legions will now have a direct route to his front door. A tiger does not change its stripes. No sooner was I home than the Dacian king began to plot against me, his rightful overlord. I bided my time, preparing my forces and learning the other side of rulership. Being a friend to the Senate and the people of Rome. Yet when news spread of a hostile alliance beyond the Danube, I kept a watchful eye on Dacia. And when my guards caught would-be assassins sent forth by the Dacian king, I knew to expect war at any moment. This campaign will be different from the last. The Dacians know they cannot face Hadrian and I in the field, so they will hide in their mountain fortresses, hoping for us to tire and leave. Amateurs speak of strategy and tactics, while professionals look to logistics. Dacia will not be conquered by a decisive battle. It will be conquered because Hadrian and I can sustain 14 legions and strip the Dacian forces of their supplies. Dicabulus, my false friend. Heads will roll. To the onlookers that had gathered, I appeared to take my success modestly, acting like I had been there before. But inside, my heart swelled with pride as I rode through the gates of Rome in triumph. To be loved by one is gratifying enough. To be loved by thousands is indescribable. The mob roared as Dicabulus's head was thrown to the dogs, commencing over 100 days of celebratory festivals and gladiatorial games. Senators greeted me with awe and respect that I knew for once to be genuine. Men of all ranks chanted my name. The vast Dacian treasure and its plentiful gold mines will offer riches beyond Rome's wildest dreams. My mind races with thoughts of the greatness that I, and more importantly, Rome, can achieve with such wealth. Still, the age-old maxim echoes through my head. Look behind you. Remember, you are just a man. Many past emperors buckled under the weight of ruling such a large empire because they tried to micromanage it all. From them I have learned a crucial lesson. In Rome, to govern is to delegate. Fortitude, ambition, and resolve paved the road to the imperial palace, but it is honor, diligence, and respect that keeps one there. my people respect and care for me, because I do the same for them. Yet above all, I hold the virtue and dignity of Rome herself most dear. Her prestige grew once more when I incorporated Nabatea as her newest province, but recently came under attack from a predictable direction. For decades, an uneasy peace between Rome and rival Parthia was hallowed by joint influence over Armenia, a state that served as little more than a buffer to diffuse tensions. Now, the Parthian king, Osroes, has broken this agreement and seized the land for his own. The Parthian army is formidable, but I did not become emperor by building shields after arrows were shot my way. The frontier legions are clamoring for action, and it is about time that we put our nefarious eastern neighbor in its place. Despite my hostility towards Parthia, it pains me to fight Osroes. His skill as a commander would be the envy of any leader. Yet the discord tormenting his realm overshadows his talents. As he struggles in vain to stave off my invasion, he does so with one hand tied behind his back. I see much of myself in him, and he offers a haunting glimpse into an alternate reality where I was born in the wrong place at the wrong time. Seizing Armenia was an ambitious move. One could argue that it was an overstep. But did I not do the same from another point of view when I took Dacia and Nabatea? I am no warmonger, and I have never loved it. But I cannot lie. On the battlefield, the anxieties of governance fade into the shadows as the simplicities of present survival come to the fore. Life just makes sense out here. And that is a notion that terrifies me. Am I a hero or a monster? A genius or a madman? Sometimes the sole difference is success. The pages of history are littered with brilliant victors and foolish losers. But foolish victors and brilliant losers are in much more exclusive company. I am not so arrogant as to call myself brilliant. Others can do that for me, if they deem it just. But I am no fool, and my instincts have been sharpened by decades of fighting. When a shark smells blood in the water, it attacks mercilessly. When news reached me of the civil war in Parthia, I resolved to do the same. A pang of pity for Osroes struck me as I recalled the strife of my youth. But now that fortune has given me a chance to put a decisive end to an age-old rivalry, I cannot hesitate. Rome knows 2 great seas today, but tomorrow it will know a third. We will seize Ctesiphon, the jewel of Parthia, and stride onwards in the footsteps of Alexander until my legions glimpse the ocean. If I succeed, I hope that history will remember Osroes as a brilliant loser. But how will I be remembered? How will Hadrian? How will Rome? Someday, parents will tell children of the age of Trajan, the emperor who found Rome a city of marble and left it one of gold. Ironic, then, that I have no children of my own to tell this tale. I have a loving wife, but in truth, Rome herself has always been the love of my life. Perhaps the gods, in their infinite wisdom, deemed the care of children too much for a man who chose an entire empire as his family. Perhaps As I lie on my deathbed, they are indirectly showing me the way. For years, Rome suffered under the yoke of cruel emperors, with no merit other than their bloodline. Like Nerva, I will now choose my successor by merit. And what better choice than Hadrian, the loyal man who walked in my footsteps, learned from my example, and did it all without a single treacherous thought. The afterlife is timeless, immaterial, and boundless. I gaze towards the men tending my funeral pyre and hear them now call me a god. I look out over the forum that I built, the carved column that tells my story, and the city that is an empire's beating heart. I smile, knowing that I have left these people a better Rome than the one that I found. Yet, at the same time, doubt and dread gnaw at me. Now that I have raised the bar, others will try and match it, and their vain ambition, conceit, and impossible expectations could drag Rome towards the same familiar decline from which I rescued it. Was I Rome's savior, or its doom?